Good afternoon. I am Dr. William Russell Robinson. It is a pleasure to finally make your acquaintance vis-a-vis YouTube. This is our channel, one of the channels that we'll be using over the course of the semester. I'd like to welcome you formally and officially to English 1250 Online for the spring 2014 semester. Over the course of this semester, we will be using various forms of social media to interact with one another. I like to think of it as screen-to-screen conversations, if you will. By this point in time, you should already have received evaluations on your about.me pages. Hopefully you've turned them in. We want to make sure that whether you have them evaluated or not, that they are turned in no later than the 23rd of this month, January 23rd. There appears to have been some minor discrepancies regarding some of the syllabus announcements and so forth. And I want to take a little time to offer a little clarity to that. First, on the syllabus, again, it is imperative that you read the syllabus verbatim as best as you can. On the master sheet, where we have the assignments that lets you know the day and time or the day in which the assignments are due, that literally should be able to help you. It's a one-pager that lets you know off the bat when you'll have various assignments due. So it's imperative that you follow that and make sure you get your schedules aligned with that. Secondly, also you do realize that we do have other pieces of the syllabus, i.e. The grid that lets you know week to week what we'll be going over, primarily through our discussions with the Google Plus accounts as well as the discussion boards. So I really want you to take heed to that if possible. The other thing, too, that's important over the course of this semester is that, again, there will be times in which we know the technology will fail. Having said that, I am not immune to making mistakes myself, as I think none of us are. So we want to make sure that we allow some room for flexibility. There may be some times that I will say, you know, that probably was not the right thing to do. Let's go ahead and give you guys a second shot at that. However, when we do have assignments that are due, it's imperative that you make sure that you govern your time accordingly. In some cases, and I want to be very direct as I say this to you, a lot of people have this misnomer that the online class is much easier than a face-to-face class. Quite the contrary. The online class, whether we choose to believe it or not, is more labor-intensive, especially when we're trying to manage speeches over the course of, let's say, 12 to 13 weeks. So it's imperative that you take the time now to, again, establish all of the relevant social media accounts that you'll need. Again, the accounts that I'm looking for include a YouTube channel that is classroom safe. So if you already have a YouTube channel, please get a second one and designate it primarily for your speeches in this class. The second account that we need you to get also, of course, is the About Me page. Now, the About Me page really is nothing more than a prop that you will use for your speech of introduction, which is due, again, on the 26th of January at 5 p.m. The last account that we need to make sure you have, additionally, is the Google Plus account. The Google Plus account allows us to have screen-to-screen chats. And in many cases, if you can't make a screen-to-screen chat, at least you'll be able to go back and view what we talked about in our virtual classroom. Now, we are not going to have the virtual classroom this coming Sunday, but usually they are on Sundays. I hate to say we might have to have one around Super Bowl weekend. I'm trying to avoid it as much as possible because I know a lot of us may be wanting to see that, myself included. But I do want to let you know that it is imperative that we actually start planning our first face-to-face chat, which I predict will be on a Saturday. So if we have the face-to-face chat on the Saturday before the Super Bowl, which I believe will be February 1st, then the good thing here then is that we won't have to have a virtual chat. But again, we'll go ahead and try to decide that as a class. Again, regarding the assignments that you were supposed to have turned in thus far, the About Me page was to have been submitted as of January 19th at 5 p.m. Now, for those, again, who are new to the course or who may have questions, the deadline for all of my assignments is at 5 p.m. close of business. That's pretty much how I like to make sure I get everything in on time. Additionally, I think there's been a small technical glitch here. I'm going to have to look into Blackboard to find out what happened because for some reason, there have been a few of you who have submitted your work in on time. And for some reason, I don't know why Blackboard is not letting me see it. in my screen, but I am able to go back and look further, and then there is the work. So for those of you who I can see honestly did make an attempt to get your work in by the deadline, if you can show me with a screen save that you did submit the information in on time, I have no problem giving you full credit for that. Again, for those who need to know, the full breakdown of the class is as follows. Our speeches operate as 70% of the class. The other 20% come from your paperwork. That is, i.e. your outlines, your About Me page, your PowerPoint presentations, and so forth. The last 10% actually comes from class participation. That is through your discussion boards or virtual chat sessions. Please note that if we ever get to a situation, which I don't think will be the case, but if we're looking at where a student has more than 4 zeros throughout the course of the semester, I'm going to strongly encourage that student to remove themselves from the class, because I don't want them to be in a situation where they'll be facing a penalizing grade. However, if we get to a point where you have 6 zeros, I will drop you from the course. And that's basically because we're having an issue, if you will, with class participation. So we don't want you to get so far behind. 1 0 will not kill you in this class unless it is on a speech. And even then, I will probably try to work with you to get it straight. But again, if we do have a series of zeros that exceed 6, you will be dropped from the course. If you have 4, I will strongly recommend you leave the course. Because again, we want to make sure that you're giving enough time for you to be successful throughout the duration of this semester. Okay, so regarding the About Me page, that assignment is passed. We are looking for you at least now to get it in, because you're going to have it for your speech of introduction. Another important note, you must have, and it's mandatory, you must have all of the prerequisite paperwork in before you do a speech for credit in my course. So if you have a speech of introduction and the required material is a About Me page, please submit it. Now, I will not give you credit for it if it was not at the due time. If it's actually after the due date, then I can't give you credit for it, but I still need you to have that, because you're going to need that as a prop. As we progress throughout the course of the semester, you will need to make sure I see, before you turn in a speech, I need to see a draft, or at least I need to see the outlines, and I also need to see your PowerPoint presentations, and we'll go more in detail of what I'm looking for with PowerPoint presentations. Last, and please make sure you understand this, for the first 2 speeches, the introductory speech and the demonstration speech, you do not have to have an audience. Again, you do not need to have an audience for that speech. But when you get to the other speeches, you will need to have an audience of 6 people. So this gives you enough lead time to start putting your audiences together. What some classes have done, in actuality, they basically have said, we're going to have speech parties where people will come to one person's home and they will all just basically do the speeches in front of all their audience members, which are classmates. That's something to consider. If you're on campus, you may want to make sure that you do that with members of the class. It gives you an opportunity to interact with your classmates. Okay, so for now, I'm going to leave it at that. Again, I will put more information up when we start moving towards making sure all of your social media tools are in place. Until that time, I'm looking forward to having a great opportunity to work with all of you this semester. I have nothing but great expectations, and I'm sure you will all do fine. Thank you again for your participation, and we're looking forward to a great semester. Ciao for now.